Becky. Part 3 is so good. You know, I mentioned in my last episode that part 2 was kind of slow. I felt like it was building up to something, and it sure was. It was building up to part 3, and I can't wait to see what's next. Before we get started, go ahead and like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because you want to get all these episodes because you know you can't live without what I provide. I'm sure there's no one else on the internet providing such great reviews of literary works. So in part 3, we see a continuation of the psychological turmoil that the main character is going through, Raskolnikov. And it is just getting more deep and more dense. He's experiencing some severe mood swings. He's distancing himself from others and trying to deal with this intense conflict. Razumikin, his one and only friend, is really starting to get worried about his mental and physical health and attempts to support Raskolnikov, though he's still unaware of the crime that he's committed. Meanwhile, his family arrives in St. Petersburg. Again, not Florida. Although St. Petersburg, Florida, he might not have been such a depressed man. It's very nice there. His family arrives and he is not happy. He actually does not welcome them. He's kind of a turd. And his sister Dunya and his mother Pulcheria arrive in the city. They've heard about him being very sick and they don't understand. The mom is just like, I don't know what's wrong with my son. He's lost it. This is so unlike him. What's going on? And Raskolnikov, isn't in favor of the guy that his sister wants to marry, even though she says she's doing it, 1, because she loves him, but 2, because he can help them provide for his family. So one thing I've noticed throughout the whole book is Raskolnikov is living in this flat and people just seem to come in and out. Like, get a door, buddy. I don't understand. People come in and check on him. People come in and go through his room. People come in and take his money and buy clothes. And it's like, does he not have a door on this place? What is happening? Like, shut your door or invest in a lock. It is so weird. Like, I wish that was addressed because I'm like, it doesn't make sense that people just come in. Like, in what world is this? So Porfiry, the investigator on the murder case, begins to suspect Raskolnikov and engages him in some unsettling conversations. And he probes him on crime, morality, guilt, and he subtly hints that he can kind of see through Raskolnikov's behavior. So that's a little alarming. It's alarming because you're like, how does he know about this? Where did he get this information? And then you find out that Raskolnikov wrote a paper on extraordinary men who are men he believes have the right to transgress law for a greater purpose. He sent it to a paper to be published, and then it came out in this periodical, like, way later than he expected. And Porfiry read it and was like, that's interesting. And this guy's acting kind of strange. And maybe I need to talk to him to see what's going on here. So now you're seeing, like, the connection. Like, okay, no wonder he's on his case. He is acting like the very thing he wrote about, and a crime has been committed that hasn't been solved yet. So super weird. Super crazy things going on. So his philosophical stance sort of reflects his internal struggle to rationalize the murder, even as his mental state is deteriorating. I mean, he is like, at this point in the book, I'm like, can it get any worse? He's talking about it to his friends without really talking about it, and he's getting further and further paranoid, and the relationships with his family are like breaking down because he's not being honest and he's being weird and kind of obstinate to any kind of help or anything like that. So it's like, I don't know what part 4 is going to bring, but it's got to break. I feel like we're building, and something's going to break. So as we learn more and more about Raskolnikov and how crazy he's getting and becoming, tensions are rising. It is crazy up in here. As the reader who knows what's happened, it's kind of like, gosh, that sentence was obvious. Maybe he shouldn't have said that, because it's like he's talking to Porphyry, especially in that conversation, and he's talking around it without saying what he's talking about, and it's like so obvious. But I can understand how if you didn't know that he committed the crime, you wouldn't be aware and pick up on that kind of stuff, so that's why Porphyry doesn't. However, it's like he is going to eventually put all this stuff together. And then I'm also wondering, when is his friend going to pick up on this? When is he going to be like, did you do it? Because he's kind of looking and listening from the outside. These two are having this conversation, and Razumikin is off to the side because he went with them to Porphyry's. And so he's listening and hearing all this. And at some point, I think he's going to put things together or ask him about it. It just seems like it's going to happen. But Razumikin is sort of a hot mess. He's got this hot mess vibe going on. He's well-meaning, but he's slightly chaotic. He's always hungover, and he has a genuine concern for Raskolnikov, but he's always like talking at him, and Raskolnikov's like not really listening or barely paying attention to what he's saying. And so it's almost comical, because it's like, maybe he'll never put it together. Maybe he's completely clueless. We all have a friend like that, right? When the mother and sister come to visit, it's super awkward. Like, they walk in and they're like, hey, son, so happy to see you. Haven't seen you in years, months, years. I don't know how long it's been, but it alludes that it's been a long time. So glad to see you. How are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Did you get my letter? There's like, oh, hugs. You're expecting all this. And Raskolnikov is just like dismissive, bizarre. He's not wanting to talk to them. There's like often long periods of silence. And it's like, first of all, can you just fake it? Because if you committed a murder and your family comes to town to visit, why act like a weirdo? And when they're out looking for it, you'd think that you'd be like, okay, I should act like I didn't commit a murder. I'm going to be nice to my family and see them. And plus, too, like, why aren't you happy to see your family anyway? Like, your mom has been supporting you financially. Your sister's trying to marry this guy so you can get a job and then support yourself, maybe go back to law school, and you're going to be a turd about it? I was like rude. If my son acted like that to me, I would be like, you know what? Bye. I'm not going to sit here and beg and keep trying to talk to you and try to get you to loosen up. Oh, talk to me, talk to me. The mom is so pathetic in this book. I'd be like, seriously, I came all this way, spent all this money that I don't have, been sending you money. We're trying to do you right. And I'd be ticked. That's what I would be. I'd be ticked. They don't make moms now like they used to, because I would not be sitting there groveling at his pathetic feet. Wait till she finds out he someone. She gonna be mad. She gonna be real mad. Raskolnikov has some seriously dramatic I am not well moments. And honestly, he's getting pathetic and kind of getting on my nerves at this point. Like, at first, when the book starts, you really like the guy because you're like, aw, he doesn't have much money. He's living alone. He's making new friends. And then he commits a murder. And you're like, well, you try to, you want to like them. You try to like them. Now he's being a baby. And I'm just like, first of all, suck it up, okay? You did a bad thing. You got to deal with it. You can't just lay in bed and be a big baby about it. He has some truly dramatic breakdowns, and he declares how unwell or miserable he is. And then he pretends to be fine and then just changes the subject. Hello? That's like super crazy. It's like he's so out of touch with reality, he doesn't even realize that he's crazy. He can't get any worse than this, right? Also, I'll say this book doesn't do much good for doctors. If you're a doctor and you're reading this, you would be like, seriously? The doctor in the book literally will diagnose everything wrong with Raskolnikov, the main character, except the elephant in the room, which is his psychological issues. It's like, can't you see he's crazy? It's almost funny how badly he misunderstands the situation prescribing rest and relaxation for someone wrestling with guilt over a double murder. Like, can't you see this guy's dealing with a little bit more than that? So that pretty much sums up part 3. There's a lot of weird things going on. There's a lot of people involved right now. Tensions are rising. It's getting really crazy. So I'm really excited to see what part 4 brings. I noticed as I'm reading, I'm about 50% through the book. So we'll see what's going to happen next. So for my rating for this section, it was very solid. It was very entertaining. Lots of drama. It's following up on things that were mentioned in the very beginning of the book, like the family finally comes and all of those things. So I'm going to give it a 9. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm going to give this section 9 pips. If you've read this book, or if there's any certain part that stood out to you that you really liked more than another, let me know. Love to hear your feedback. Love for you to subscribe, share this, comment, like, do all the things. Thank you so much for being here and watching these videos. I hope you find some joy in them, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of this exhilarating content. See you next time.